Hello, my dear friends, and welcome to English in Fluency. My name is Alex, and I'm so happy you've decided to join me today. Before we begin, I want you to think about something. Have you ever had a moment, maybe just one single moment, where you said or did something without thinking, and then immediately wished you could take it back? A moment where a quick, angry reaction caused a problem that lasted for days, or weeks, or even longer? I think we all have. It's a very human experience, but it's an experience we can learn to control. Today, we are going to talk about one of the most powerful skills you can ever learn. A skill that can protect your peace, save your relationships, and give you a sense of calm control over your life. We are going to talk about the power of not reacting. This isn't about being weak or passive. It's about being so strong on the inside that nothing on the outside can shake you. It's about choosing wisdom over impulse. So, get comfortable, take a deep breath, and let's explore how to stop overreacting and truly control our emotions. Imagine a man named Daniel. Daniel was a project manager, and he was known for being incredibly dedicated. For 6 long months, he and his team had poured everything they had into a new software launch. They worked late nights, skipped weekends, and solved hundreds of complex problems. Daniel did 100 things right. He managed the budget perfectly, he motivated his team, and he kept the project on schedule. The final presentation to the company's leaders was tomorrow. Everything was perfect. But this morning, during a final team meeting, a junior team member named Liam pointed out a very small, almost unnoticeable error in one of the presentation slides. Liam said it gently, meaning only to be helpful. He said, "Daniel, this is amazing work. I just noticed a tiny typo on slide 27. We should probably fix it before the big meeting." In that moment, something inside Daniel snapped. The 6 months of stress, the lack of sleep, the immense pressure, it all came to a boiling point. Instead of saying, "Good catch, Liam, thank you," Daniel reacted. He slammed his laptop shut, and the sound echoed in the quiet conference room. He turned to Liam and said, in a sharp, loud voice, "After all the work we've done, you're focusing on a typo? Is that really the most important thing right now?" The room fell silent. Liam's face turned red, and he looked down at the table, completely embarrassed. The positive, collaborative energy that Daniel had built for months vanished in a single second. For the rest of the day, the team was tense and quiet. The trust was broken. Daniel's one thoughtless, reactive action had damaged the amazing thing he had built. He had done 100 things right, but that one reaction is what everyone remembered. This story shows us a powerful truth. As we try to grow and become calmer, more understanding people, we have to learn to step back from our immediate feelings. We have to try to see situations without instant judgment. This is a journey toward becoming more loving, more tolerant, and more forgiving. Not just of others, but of ourselves too. Think about it in your own life. How many friendships have been hurt? How many relationships with family and people you love have been damaged or even destroyed because of a quick, angry reaction? A few harsh words spoken in a moment of frustration can create a wound that takes years to heal, if it ever heals at all. That is why it is so important to never ever speak when you are full of anger. When you feel that fire rising inside you, the best thing you can do is redirect that energy. Instead of lashing out with words, turn inward, Take a moment for quiet thought, for prayer, or for meditation. Words are far more powerful than we often realize. They are like stones thrown into a pond. You can't take the stone back, and you can't stop the ripples it creates. Once you say something, it can never be completely erased. It becomes a part of your story, a part of your record. It can follow you, affecting your reputation and how people see you. More importantly, it affects how you see yourself. So, let's make a conscious choice. Let's decide to use our words as tools for healing, for lifting people up, for building bridges of connection, and for blessing everyone we meet. Let's refuse to use our words to divide people or to tear them down. Sometimes, the most powerful and spiritual thing you can do is absolutely nothing. When you feel that strong urge to react, to reply to that email, to make that phone call, to say that cutting remark, just wait. This is the spiritual art of waiting. It is a practice like learning a musical instrument. At first it feels difficult and unnatural, but with practice, it becomes a source of great strength. Why is waiting so powerful? Because time reveals the truth. When we are in the middle of a frustrating situation, our vision is cloudy. We can only see our own anger or hurt. But if we wait, the clouds begin to part. We start to get more information. We begin to understand the other person's perspective. What seemed like a personal attack might just be a misunderstanding. Waiting leads to positive transformation. Let's take a moment to practice this right now. I want you to look back over your own life. Can you remember a time when you reacted quickly and later wished you hadn't? Maybe you sent an angry text message or had an argument with a loved one. Now, imagine that same situation, but this time you chose to wait. You waited an hour or maybe a full day before you responded. How would things have been different? Would the outcome have been better for you and for the other person? Almost always, the answer is yes. By taking that time, by creating that space, we allow a higher intelligence to work. It works within us, calming our minds, and it works within others, perhaps calming theirs too. It's in that quiet space of waiting that we are shown the right thing to do next. The process of not reacting is more than just biting your tongue. It is a deep spiritual practice that develops your awareness. It makes you more conscious. When you are conscious, you are not living on autopilot, simply reacting to whatever happens to you. Instead, you are awake. You are present. You are listening. You start to hear a quieter voice inside you, the voice of wisdom. This voice helps you see things from a much broader perspective. You see the bigger picture, not just the small, frustrating detail in front of you. And as you become more conscious, your entire character begins to change. A conscious person is naturally more compassionate. They understand that everyone is fighting their own silent battles. A conscious person is more patient, more understanding, and ultimately more peaceful. True happiness in life is simply not possible without self-discipline. This isn't about being strict or hard on yourself. It's about having the inner strength to choose how you want to be, rather than letting your emotions choose for you. Every single situation you face in life, big or small, is like a stage. It's a platform where you get to see and experience the quality of your own consciousness. Are you operating from a place of peace or a place of chaos? To operate from that beautiful place of pure consciousness, we have to work on freeing ourselves from all the old, negative conditioning we carry around. We all have it. Old habits, hidden fears, unhealthy likes and dislikes, and prejudices we might not even be aware of. The goal is to reach a state of absolute neutrality, where we can see things exactly as they are, without our personal feelings coloring the picture. All the situations we are faced with, especially the difficult ones, are not there to punish us. They happen in order to give us opportunities for growth and for learning. They are preparing us. They are making us stronger and wiser for things that may happen in the future, challenges we can't yet see. In the heat of the present moment, it's very hard to see this, but by not reacting, we allow ourselves to enter that neutral space, that calm center of our own being. And from that space, over time, it becomes clear why things happened the way they did. We must always remember that the universe, or God, or whatever higher power you believe in, reveals its wisdom slowly, over time. It's like watching a movie. You can't understand the ending from the first 5 minutes. You have to let the whole story unfold. Above all, it is so important for us to work on ourselves constantly. We must strengthen our self-awareness every day. This is so that in a moment of forgetfulness, when we are tired or stressed, we do not become reactive and hurt someone. It's easy to be calm when things are going well. The real test is when someone does something that, from our limited human perspective, seems wrong or causes us frustration or anger. That is the moment where our practice truly matters. That is the moment we choose who we want to be. Our perception of reality truly has the power to change our reality. And through our words and our actions, we can change that reality for others as well. Think about the weather. If you choose to look out the window and see the sunshine, then sunshine is what you will experience. You will not give your power away to the few dark clouds that might be in the sky. You won't let them spoil your day. But if you choose to focus only on those dark clouds, then negativity will penetrate the way you see everything. Your whole day will feel gray and gloomy. It's the same with life's challenges. If we choose to go through our challenges with a smile, with a belief that we can handle them, then those challenges will never have a chance to cling to us like mud. They will be experiences we move through, not burdens that weigh us down. Now, what happens when we give our power away? When we are not conscious, we can easily give the power of our good feelings, our joy, to someone else. This often happens with people who are excessively critical. We have a good day, we feel happy and proud of something, and then we encounter someone who finds fault in everything. They criticize our work, our choices, our happiness. If we are not careful, we allow their negativity to become a cloud over our own sunshine. As a result of giving away our power, we spiral down and down into the mud with them. Do not allow an overly critical person to make you feel negative. It's important to understand where their criticism often comes from. Some overly critical people have unreasonably high expectations for themselves. They are often smart, talented, and effective people, but they are very hard on themselves. They are sometimes so set in their ways that their narrow-mindedness causes them to constantly complain and look down on anyone who does not share their limited view of life. Let's imagine you are in a meeting at work. You present an idea you are very excited about. Most people seem to like it. But there is one person, we'll call her Martha, who immediately starts pointing out all the potential problems. She says, "That will never work because of this, and you haven't thought about that," and on and on. In this situation, you have a choice. You can react. You can get defensive, argue with her, and let her negativity drain all the excitement out of the room. Or you can maintain your sense of positivity. You can say, "Thank you, Martha. Those are some valid points we will definitely need to consider. I appreciate you looking at this from all angles." You acknowledge her without letting her pull you into her negative storm. This leads to a vital rule for a peaceful life. Never accept another person's reality as your own. Do not identify with another person's opinion unless it helps you become a better, kinder, or wiser person. We put far too much importance on what other people think about us. Their opinions are a reflection of their world, their experiences, and their fears, not a true reflection of who you are. One of the great laws of spirituality is that we must be the most severe judge of ourselves and the most understanding friend to others. This means we should hold ourselves to a high standard of kindness and integrity, but we should give others the benefit of the doubt. When we are quick to judge or criticize someone, we have no idea what is really happening in their life. We don't know what severe troubles that person who seems so well off has been through in their past. We don't know what silent sorrows are hidden behind their smile. We don't even know what brutal trials may be waiting for them in the future. Life is full of so many difficulties, even for people who appear to have everything. The more conscious and aware we become, the more we shift our focus. Before trying to see the faults in others, we must work hard at discovering their qualities. We should look for everything that can bring us closer to them, everything about them that we can help develop. We can help their good qualities blossom like a beautiful flower, spreading a healing fragrance that uplifts everyone around them. Life is truly what we allow it to be and what we make it to be. So, let's train our minds. Let's practice seeing the good in every situation and the good in every person. No good has ever come from reacting in anger. It only creates more problems. Think of karma as simple cause and effect, or action and reaction. When we react negatively, we are throwing a negative stone into the pond of our life. The ripples that come back to us will also be negative. We only create further undesirable karma or further negative consequences when we react from a place of anger or fear. Reacting prevents us from being in control of our own reality. Instead of being the captain of our ship, we become a victim of the waves. So, try to think of your circumstances, especially the difficult ones, as a test. They are a test of your spiritual character, a test of the strength you have been building. When we react, we are operating from a very low frequency, a low vibration of energy. Think of it like a radio that is tuned to a station full of static. When you are in that state of being upset, emotional, angry, or fearful, everything you do and say is filled with that static. That low vibration then has a ripple effect. It pervades every aspect of your actions. When we act from this low vibration, we go on to influence everyone we interact with. We are, in essence, transferring that static, that low vibration, onto others. You snap at a coworker, who then goes home and is short with their partner, who then gets upset with their child. The negativity spreads. When you lower your own vibration, you are no longer a force for good in the world. In fact, in everything that you are doing from that state, you are causing some form of pain, either to yourself or to others. When we do not operate from a high vibration of peace, love, and understanding, everything we do can lead to more pain. This is why it is so crucial that we give ourselves both time and space when we feel triggered. We need time to regain our strength and space to find the wisdom we need to be neutral. From that place of neutrality, we can create a platform for healing actions, actions that solve problems instead of creating new ones. The best way to get more light in your life, more peace and clarity, is by learning to resist reacting. And the best time to practice resisting is right at that moment when you feel like you are on the very edge of reacting. That moment is a golden opportunity. When you are about to react, I want you to stop. Just stop. And use the most powerful tool you have for controlling your mind, your breath. For example, you can try this simple breathing technique. Inhale slowly to a count of 20. If 20 is too long, start with 10. Hold your breath for that same count of 20. And then exhale very slowly to that same count of 20. Continue this for just a couple of minutes until you feel your mind begin to calm down. Always remember this fundamental truth. The mind always follows the breath. The breath is the king of the mind. When you control your breath, you control your mind. And when you control your mind, you control your reality. Throughout the day, we are faced with many opportunities to react. We often see them as annoyances. The driver who cuts us off in traffic, the long line at the grocery store, the critical comment from a family member. But what if we changed our perspective? What if we saw each of these moments not as an annoyance, but as an opportunity to accumulate light? Every single time you resist the urge to react negatively, you are collecting light. You are strengthening your willpower. It's like lifting a weight at the gym. Each time you do it, your muscle gets a little bit stronger. This spiritual practice of not reacting will give you incredibly strong willpower, profound self-control, and a deep, calm confidence that radiates from you. When you can control yourself, you can control the events of your life. You can direct them in a way that is harmonious and positive. You are no longer a victim of your circumstances, tossed around by the winds of fate. Instead, you become the creator of your circumstances. You become the one who sets the sails and steers the ship. Indeed, it is said that if you can control yourself, you can control the forces of nature. If you cannot control yourself, you cannot control your reality. In other words, when you can prevent yourself from reacting negatively, you can control the collisions and challenges of your life. You can redirect them in a positive way. But if you cannot control yourself and your reactions, then you will constantly be colliding with life, creating friction and pain. Every time you prevent yourself from thinking, feeling, speaking, acting, and behaving negatively, you are increasing your inner light. The same is true for resisting the urge to say something negative, even about yourself. Be very careful about the words you say about yourself. What you say about yourself can either make you or break you. The words we speak are creative. They are like blueprints, creating every aspect of our lives on a daily basis. Words are thoughts that are expressed, and it is the nature of our mind to try and turn those thoughts into a physical form or experience. So, if you constantly say, "I am so stressed," your mind will work to create a reality of stress for you. If you say, "I can handle this," your mind will help you find the strength to handle it. Not reacting allows us to develop the capacity to expand our perception. It allows us to see beyond our own small viewpoint and embrace the totality of life. Think about this profound idea. Life is 1% what we can see, and 99% what is unseen. The 1% that we can see with our five senses, what we see, hear, touch, taste, and smell, is a very limited and sometimes false reality. The 99%, the vast, unseen world of energy, thoughts, feelings, and spiritual connection, can only be perceived when we go beyond our five senses. The paradox is that most people rely 99% of the time on the 1% they can see. Sadly, our false self, which some call the ego or the body of pain, is what prevents us from accessing this rich and limitless aspect of life that makes up the 99%. This body of pain is the collection of all our past hurts, fears, and negative experiences. It loves drama and reaction. It feeds on anger and victimhood. When we live from that place, we are left to experience only that tiny 1% of life, a life that seems fraught with limitations and struggles of all kinds. The truth is, our life is a reflection of our consciousness. We get what we are, and we see things not as they are, but as we are. We see life through the distorted filter of our own body of pain. When we give in to impulsive, reactive behavior, we are feeding that body of pain and creating more problems and more pain for ourselves. We need to prevent ourselves from becoming a slave to this part of us. As we align ourselves with the forces of light, with kindness, patience, and love, we must do our very best, even in times of great frustration and anger, to see the light that exists even in the darkness, and to follow it. We must hold on to a positive way of looking at every event or situation. It can be helpful to look back in times of darkness and count the miracles and the blessings that we have received in our lives. Remember the times when things worked out, the help we received from unexpected places, the lessons we learned. This helps us to see how far we have come. It is so important to be tolerant and to act with grace. By acting with love and grace, we don't just help ourselves. We heal the person or situation in front of us. We heal those who are associated with that situation, and we even send healing ripples out to people who may not even know that they need healing. A good way to overcome any resistance you feel, any urge to react negatively, is to always act in consultation with your own divinity, with your intuition, that quiet voice inside. Apply your humanity, your compassion, and your carefulness. Stay present in the moment, and try to find the perfection of God, or the universe, in that moment. Then, with the help of prayer or quiet intention, use these qualities to restore harmony. We must appeal to the higher angel of our nature. As we surrender to this great work of self-mastery, we should not forget that we will be challenged. We must be challenged if we are to grow and become the perfected, peaceful beings that exist inside of us now as a potential. We must become living examples through which obstacles of the most complicated kind can be resolved through our commitment to tolerance, compassion, and spiritual transcendence. We have to acknowledge the true temptation of the body of pain and learn how to rise above it. We have to develop healthy ways of using our ego to do the right thing, as opposed to reacting from our false self. We must align ourselves with the divine so that we may become an extension of that creative, healing presence here on earth. True love removes suffering and brings joy and happiness. The healthiest form of change, both in ourselves and in the world, always happens through the process of evolution, not revolution. Revolution is often violent, reactive, and creates as many problems as it solves. Evolution is a slow, steady, conscious process of growth. We must take into account the law of love and the law of evolution as we create change in our lives. The law of love must be applied throughout all changes we wish to make. Remember this simple truth. Love makes everything easy. Faith makes everything possible. And hope makes everything work. Unconditional love makes it possible for us to rise beyond our false self, beyond our ego, so that we may penetrate the hearts of all those we interact with. Our perception of life truly creates our reality. By choosing to direct our thoughts, our feelings, our words, our actions, and our attitude consciously and positively, we can transform and improve everything around us. Now, to help you put this all into practice, let us do a short, guided meditation together. This is a simple practice you can do at any time, but it is especially powerful when you feel you are about to react. You can do it with your eyes open or closed, wherever you are. Let's begin. I want you to inhale deeply and gently. Hold the breath for a moment, and as you hold it, mentally repeat the divine command, "Let there be light, let there be light, let there be light." Now, as you exhale slowly, mentally vibrate these words, "Let there be light before me. Let there be light behind me. Let there be light at my left. Let there be light at my right. Let there be light above me. Let there be light beneath me. Let there be light in me." Let's repeat this for 2 more breaths. Inhale deeply, hold the breath, and mentally repeat, "Let there be light. Let there be light. Let there be light." Now, exhale slowly and gently, feeling the calm spread through you. Let there be light before me. Let there be light behind me. Let there be light at my left. Let there be light at my right. Let there be light above me. Let there be light beneath me. Let there be light in me. One last time. A deep, full breath in. Hold it. And affirm. Let there be light. Let there be light. Let there be light. And a long, slow, complete exhale out. Let there be light before me. Let there be light behind me. Let there be light at my left. Let there be light at my right. Let there be light above me. Let there be light beneath me. Let there be light in me. Now, just take one final deep breath in, hold it for a moment, and exhale calmly. Remember this simple divine command. It will prevent you from reacting, because light is the principle of perfection, clarity, and peace. When you call for light, you are calling for the highest and best possible outcome. You are choosing your response instead of letting a reaction choose you. Thank you for joining me today on English in Fluency. I hope this discussion has given you some valuable tools to bring more peace and control into your life. Remember, this is a practice. Be patient and kind with yourself as you learn. The goal isn't perfection, but progress. If you found this helpful and want to continue learning and growing with us, please subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to hit that bell notification so you never miss a new episode. Until next time, my name is Alex, wishing you a week of peace, clarity, and thoughtful responses. In the first part of our discussion, we explored the incredible power that comes from learning to pause, from choosing not to react in the heat of the moment. We talked about how a single, thoughtless reaction can undo so much good, and how the simple act of waiting can bring wisdom and clarity. We used metaphors like the garden, the radio station, and the iceberg to understand these ideas more deeply. We've talked about the what and the why. Now, let's go even deeper into the how. It's one thing to understand an idea, but it's another thing entirely to live it, especially when we are tired, stressed, or feeling hurt. To do this, I want to introduce you to someone. Let's call her Jessica. And I want to tell you her story, because it's a story many of us will find very familiar. Jessica was a kind and loving person. She was a dedicated nurse, a loyal friend, and a mother who would do anything for her family. But Jessica had a secret struggle. She saw herself as a highly reactive person. She had, in her own words, a very short fuse. Little things would set her off, especially at home, where she felt she could let her guard down. The smallest annoyances could feel like huge personal attacks, and her frustration would bubble over before she even had a chance to think. She loved her family more than anything, but she often felt like she was the one causing the most tension in her own home. Let's step into a typical Tuesday evening in Jessica's life. She had just finished a long, demanding 10-hour shift at the hospital. Her feet ached, her mind was tired, and all she wanted was a few moments of peace. The one thing she had asked her teenage son, Leo, to do was to take out the recycling bins for the morning pickup. It was his only major chore for the day. As she pulled into the driveway, her headlights swept across the side of the house, and she saw them. The two large blue bins, still sitting right where they were this morning, completely full. In that instant, a familiar sequence of events began inside of her. First came the heat, a hot flash of anger that started in her chest and quickly rose to her face. Then came the thoughts, racing through her mind like wildfire. He never listens to me. Not once. I have to work all day and then come home and do everything myself. It's like I don't even exist. He doesn't respect me at all. This is so unfair. She walked into the house, and the weight of that reaction came with her. She dropped her keys on the counter with a loud clatter. Leo was in the living room, listening to music. He smiled and said, "Hey, Mom, how was your day?" The old reactive Jessica took over. She didn't smile back. Her voice was sharp and cold. "My day was long, Leo. And it's not getting any better now that I see you completely ignored the one thing I asked you to do. The recycling is still sitting there. Is it really that hard to do one simple thing?" Leo's smile vanished. His body tensed up. He immediately went on the defensive. "I was going to do it." "Gosh, I just forgot. It's not a big deal." But to Jessica, it felt like a very big deal. The argument continued. Voices were raised, hurtful things were said, and the evening, which could have been a time for connection, was ruined. The house was filled with a heavy, uncomfortable silence. The problem wasn't just about the recycling bins anymore. The problem was the deep emotional gap that had just been created between a mother and her son. Later that night, as Jessica lay in bed, she felt that familiar, awful sting of regret. She replayed the scene in her mind. She saw the smile fade from her son's face. She heard the harshness in her own voice. And she knew, with a deep sadness, that her reaction had not solved anything. In fact, it had made everything worse. The bins still had to be taken out, but now, on top of that, there was this wall between her and Leo. She realized that this pattern was costing her the very thing she wanted most: a close, loving relationship with her family. And in that quiet moment of painful honesty, she made a promise to herself. She said, "I have to change. This is not who I want to be. I don't know how, but I will learn to stop this." Jessica's journey is the journey we are going to explore now. To truly change a habit, like overreacting, we first have to understand where it comes from. Let's use Jessica's story as a map to explore the deep roots of our reactions. The first and most common root is something called an unmet expectation. Our minds are constantly, and often unconsciously, creating expectations about how things should be. Jessica expected to come home and see the recycling bins at the curb. That was her picture of reality. The actual reality was that the bins were still by the house. The anger, the frustration, the emotional pain, it all happened in the gap between the expectation and the reality. The bigger that gap, the more intense the emotional reaction is likely to be. Think about it in your own life. When do you get most upset? It's almost always when a person or a situation doesn't meet your expectation. You expect the traffic to be light, but it's heavy. You expect a friend to call you back right away, but they don't. You expect to get praise for your hard work, but you get criticism instead. The reaction comes from the friction caused by reality rubbing up against the picture in your head. But there is a second, even more powerful root of our reactions. It's the story we tell ourselves about the unmet expectation. This is the crucial part. The simple fact was that the recycling bins were not taken out. That is a neutral fact. It has no emotional charge. The pain came from the story Jessica immediately attached to that fact. The story was, "He doesn't listen to me. He doesn't respect me. I am not important. My needs don't matter." Notice how personal and painful that story is. The reaction wasn't really about the bins. It was about the story of disrespect and being invisible. We do this all the time. Someone cuts us off in traffic. The fact is, one car moved in front of another car. The story we tell is, that person is a selfish jerk who thinks they are more important than everyone else. They did that on purpose, to disrespect me. We add these incredibly detailed and painful stories to simple facts. And it is the story, not the fact, that causes the explosion of emotion. So, here is a small practice for you. A little piece of homework for your own life. The next time you feel that heat of anger or frustration beginning to rise, I want you to ask yourself two simple questions. First, what was the expectation I had in this situation? Just identifying the expectation can be incredibly powerful. It helps you see that the problem might not be the situation itself, but your preconceived idea of it. Second, and more importantly, what is the story I am telling myself right now? Is this story 100% true? Can I be absolutely certain that this person's intention was to hurt or disrespect me? Or is it possible that there is another story, a different explanation that I haven't considered? Just asking these questions can begin to create a little bit of space between the trigger and your reaction. Jessica knew she needed a practical tool, something she could use in the moment to stop the emotional train from leaving the station. She learned about a technique called a pattern interrupt. Our reactive behaviors are strong because they are well-practiced patterns in our brain. The trigger happens, and the brain runs down the same old familiar path, leading to the same old reaction. A pattern interrupt is something you do to break that path, to short-circuit the automatic response. The key is that it should be something simple and preferably physical, something that pulls you out of your head and into your body, even for just a second. It could be anything. You could decide to immediately walk into another room and touch something that is the color blue. You could snap your fingers 3 times. You could splash cold water on your face. You could even say a silly word to yourself, like pickle, which is hard to do while staying intensely angry. The goal is not to solve the problem, but simply to break the immediate, automatic, emotional loop. Jessica decided on her pattern interrupt. Her plan was that the very next time she felt that familiar surge of anger towards her family, she would immediately turn around, walk to the kitchen sink, and get herself a glass of water. A few days later, she had a chance to practice. It was a small thing. She came into the living room and saw that her husband, Mark, had left his empty coffee cup on the side table, just inches away from a coaster. This was a classic trigger for her. The old story would have been, "He's so lazy. He expects me to clean up after him." She felt the annoyance begin to rise, but then she remembered her plan. The thought, "Get water," flashed in her mind. Instead of sighing loudly or making a sarcastic comment, she simply turned around and walked to the kitchen. She took out a glass. She filled it with water. She took a slow sip. The whole action took maybe 15 seconds. But in those 15 seconds, a miracle happened. The intense emotional charge fizzled out. By interrupting the pattern, she had given her rational brain, the calm and wise part of her, a chance to catch up with her emotional brain. When she walked back into the living room, the coffee cup just looked like a coffee cup. It was no longer a symbol of disrespect. She picked it up and took it to the kitchen, and she felt peaceful. It was a small, quiet victory, but for Jessica, it felt monumental. This is the first and most important step. We are moving from being reactive to being proactive. And as we practice this, we begin to understand the critical difference between a reaction and a response. A reaction is automatic. It's driven by emotion. It's rooted in the past, and it's often destructive. A response, on the other hand, is conscious. It is thoughtful. It is rooted in the present moment, and it is constructive. Jessica's sigh or sarcastic comment would have been a reaction. Her choice to get a glass of water, creating a pause, allowed her to then choose her response, which was to simply pick up the cup without creating a conflict. She was no longer a slave to her triggers. She was starting to become the master of her own emotions. As Jessica got better at interrupting her own patterns, she learned a new tool for communication. This tool is designed to help you express your feelings without blaming or attacking the other person, which is essential for a healthy response. It's a simple 3-part formula. I feel when you, because. Let's break that down. You start by stating your own emotion. I feel hurt, or I feel worried, or I feel frustrated. This is powerful because no one can argue with your feelings. They are yours. Then, you state the specific factual behavior that is causing the feeling. When you leave your clothes on the floor, or when you don't call when you're going to be late. It's important that this is a fact, not a judgment. You don't say, when you are being lazy. You say, when your clothes are on the floor. Finally, you explain the consequence that behavior has on you. Because it makes me feel like I have to do all the cleaning. Or because I worry that something bad has happened to you. A bigger test for Jessica came a few weeks later. She got an email from school. Leo had received a very poor grade on a big math test, a test he had promised her he would study for. When Leo got home from school, Jessica felt that old, familiar fire ignite in her chest. The old Jessica would have immediately confronted him with anger. "A D minus, Leo? I can't believe this. You were playing video games all week instead of studying, just like I said you would. Are you even trying?" We can all imagine how that conversation would have gone. It would have been a terrible fight. But this was the new Jessica. She felt the anger. Yes. But she also recognized it. She said to herself, "Okay, this is a big one. I need a pause." She told Leo she needed a few minutes before they talked. She went into her bedroom and closed the door. She did her breathing exercise, inhaling and exhaling slowly. She drank a glass of water. She gave herself the time and space she needed for the initial emotional wave to pass. Then, when she felt calm and centered, she went to talk to Leo. They sat down at the kitchen table. She looked at him and used the new tool. She said, calmly and quietly, "Leo, I feel really worried and disappointed when I see this grade on your test." She paused, then continued, "Because I know how incredibly smart you are, and I worry that if you don't pass this class, it will limit the amazing opportunities you have for your future." The effect was astonishing. Because she didn't attack him, Leo didn't get defensive. He didn't shut down. He looked at her, and his shoulders slumped. He said, "I know, Mom. I'm sorry. I thought I knew the material better than I did. I messed up." By responding instead of reacting, Jessica didn't start a fight. She opened a conversation. She created a space where they could solve the problem together, as a team, instead of being on opposite sides of a battlefield. This is the true power of not reacting. It's not about ignoring problems. It's about handling them in a way that brings people closer instead of pushing them further apart. To support her journey, Jessica added one more practice to her life, a practice designed to change her entire outlook. She learned about the powerful role of gratitude. It is almost impossible for the human brain to feel intensely angry and genuinely grateful in the exact same moment. The two emotions are like oil and water. Gratitude has a real chemical effect on your brain. It releases dopamine and serotonin, the feel-good neurotransmitters, which calms you down and makes you feel more positive. It changes your entire energetic frequency. So, Jessica started a new habit. She got a small notebook and placed it by her bed. Every single morning, before she even checked her phone, she wrote down 3 specific things she was grateful for about her family. Some days, it was easy. "I am grateful for the way Mark makes coffee for me every morning without me having to ask. I am grateful for the funny video Leo showed me yesterday that made me laugh so hard. I am grateful for the hug my daughter gave me before she left for school." But some days, it was hard. On days when she felt annoyed or disconnected, she really had to search. But she made herself do it anyway. "I am grateful that Mark works hard to provide for our family. I am grateful that Leo is healthy. I am grateful that we have a safe home to live in." This simple, 5-minute practice began to slowly but surely rewire her brain. It was like training a muscle. The more she looked for things to be grateful for, the more she found. She started to automatically notice the good things, instead of just automatically noticing the annoyances. The coffee cup left on the table didn't disappear, but her perspective on it changed. It became a tiny detail in a much larger, more beautiful picture of a life she was genuinely thankful for. The triggers that used to cause a huge emotional explosion now seemed much smaller, because her baseline emotional state, her everyday feeling, was more peaceful and positive. She was learning to keep her own radio tuned to that clear, high-frequency station of peace and love, making it much harder for the static of daily life to interfere. Jessica's journey was not about becoming a perfect, emotionless robot. It was about becoming a conscious human being, one who could feel all of her emotions, but choose which ones would be in the driver's seat. It was a journey from chaos to calm, one small, intentional response at a time. Jessica's story is so important because it shows us that change is not a magical, overnight event. It is a journey. It isn't about one single grand gesture of self-control, but about hundreds of small, consistent practices. It's the daily decision to get a glass of water instead of raising your voice. It's the quiet 5 minutes of gratitude in the morning. It's the courage to try a new way of speaking when you feel hurt. Each of these small victories builds on the last, creating a powerful momentum that can transform our lives and our relationships from the inside out. But the benefits of this practice go far beyond just having more peaceful conversations. Learning to control our reactions has a profound and direct impact on our physical health and our success in the wider world. Let's talk for a moment about what happens inside your body during a reactive moment. When you experience a trigger, like Jessica seeing the recycling bins or someone cutting you off in traffic, your brain instantly perceives a threat. It doesn't know the difference between a real physical danger, like a tiger chasing you, and an emotional danger, like feeling disrespected. It reacts the same way. It activates a very old survival system known as the fight or flight response. Instantly, your body is flooded with powerful stress hormones, the most famous of which is called cortisol. Your heart starts to pound, your breathing gets shallow and fast, your muscles tense up, and your blood pressure rises. Your body is preparing you to either fight the tiger or run away from it. This is a brilliant system for short-term emergencies. But here is the problem in our modern lives. We are activating this system all the time over small things. We get a stressful email, and we trigger it. We get into an argument about politics, and we trigger it. We get stuck in a long line at the store, and we trigger it. When you live in a state of frequent reactivity, you are constantly bathing your body and your organs in these powerful stress hormones. And scientists have shown us exactly what this does over the long term. Chronic high levels of cortisol can lead to a whole range of serious health problems. High blood pressure, a weakened immune system which makes you sick more often, trouble sleeping, anxiety, weight gain, and even memory problems. Think of it this way. Your body is like a high-performance car. The fight or flight response is like revving the engine all the way into the red zone. In a true emergency, for a few seconds, it can save your life. But if you were to get in your car every single day and just rev the engine into the red zone over and over again, what would happen? You would completely destroy the engine. This is what we are doing to our own bodies when we live a life of constant, unchecked reactivity. So when you practice the art of not reacting, you are not just saving your relationships. You are quite literally saving your own health. You are giving your body the gift of peace, Now, let's take these skills out of the home and into another area where emotions can run high. The workplace. Let's imagine a man named David. David is a talented designer and a dedicated member of his team. One afternoon, during a major team meeting with senior leadership, his boss, who was under a lot of pressure, pointed to a slide in the presentation that contained a significant error. Without checking the facts, the boss turned to David and said, in front of everyone, "David, I'm very disappointed. This mistake is going to set us back a week. You were responsible for this section." In that moment, David knew two things. First, he felt a hot, sickening rush of injustice and embarrassment. Second, he knew for a fact that the error was not his. It was from a section that his colleague Sarah had submitted at the last minute. The old reactive David would have immediately defended himself. He would have said, "Wait a minute, that wasn't my fault. That part of the project belonged to Sarah. I never even touched that slide. You should have checked with me before calling me out in front of everyone." Now, while this might be true, what would this reaction have accomplished? It would have immediately put his boss on the defensive. It would have publicly shamed his colleague Sarah, creating an enemy. And it would have made David look like someone who is difficult, argumentative, and unable to handle pressure. He might have been right, but he would have lost in the long run. But this was the new David. He had been practicing the art of the pause. He felt that rush of injustice, but he did not act on it. He took one slow, silent, deep breath. He recognized the story he was telling himself in his head. My boss is trying to ruin my reputation. Everyone here thinks I'm incompetent. This is a disaster. He acknowledged the story, and then he let it go. He chose to respond. He looked at his boss with a calm and serious expression and said, "I understand your concern about this error. You are right. It's a serious issue that we need to fix immediately. Could we take a few minutes to look at the project history together right after this meeting so I can understand exactly where the breakdown happened?" Let's analyze this response. It was masterful. First, David did not accept the blame, but he also did not cast blame on anyone else. Second, he validated his boss's feeling. He started by agreeing. "I understand your concern. You are right. It's a serious issue." This immediately de-escalated the situation. His boss felt heard, not attacked. Third, he moved the conversation from a public confrontation to a private problem-solving session. This showed incredible maturity and professionalism. What was the result? The meeting continued. Afterwards, David and his boss looked at the file privately. The boss saw that the error was indeed in Sarah's section. Because he wasn't feeling defensive, he was able to apologize to David and then address the issue with Sarah in a constructive way. David didn't just avoid a conflict, he built trust. He demonstrated that he was a stable, reliable, and calm leader under pressure. This is the power of taking these skills into every area of your life. Not reacting doesn't make you a doormat. It makes you the most powerful and respected person in the room. To truly master this skill, it helps to understand the inner adversary that we are all working with. In our earlier discussion, we called it the body of pain, or the false self. Let's make that idea very simple and practical. Imagine that inside of you, there is a collection of all your past hurts, your old wounds, your fears, and your disappointments. We can think of this as your emotional pain body. This part of you is not your true self. It's a bundle of old energy that has gotten stuck. And this pain body has one primary goal. It wants to survive. And how does it survive? It survives by feeding on more pain. It loves negative energy. So, when a trigger happens in the present moment, a critical comment, an unmet expectation, this pain body wakes up inside you. It gets excited. It says, "Yes, this is my chance. A chance to feel angry. A chance to feel like a victim. A chance to feel righteous indignation." It's the voice in your head that immediately begins telling you the most negative, most painful story possible about the situation. It's the voice that told Jessica her son didn't respect her. It's the voice that told David his boss was trying to destroy his career. The most important thing you can ever learn is that this voice is not you. It is just an old, conditioned, habitual pattern within you. Your true self is the awareness that is listening to that voice. Your true self is calm, peaceful, and wise. When you react, you are letting the pain body take control. You are merging with it, and you are feeding it the drama it craves. But when you practice the pause, when you breathe, when you choose to respond with intention, you are doing something revolutionary. You are separating yourself from the pain body. You are looking at it and saying, "I see you. I feel you. But I am not going to feed you today." Every single time you choose a calm response over an angry reaction, you are starving the pain body. You are cutting off its food supply. And as you do this, day by day, it begins to get weaker. Its voice becomes quieter. Its hold on you loosens. And at the same time, your true self, your calm, conscious, peaceful self, gets stronger. This is the inner work. This is the path to true freedom. And ultimately, this entire journey of learning not to react is a journey toward compassion. At first, it's about controlling yourself and making your own life more peaceful. But as you progress, something beautiful begins to happen. You start to see others differently. When you understand your own pain body, you start to recognize it in other people. That angry driver who yelled at you. You realize that their reaction has very little to do with you. It has to do with their own pain, their own stress, their own story. The critical family member, you start to see that their criticisms are a reflection of their own insecurities and high expectations for themselves. That boss who unfairly blamed you, you can see the immense pressure they are under and how their own fear caused them to lash out. This does not excuse their behavior, but it allows you to understand it. And when you understand it, you stop taking everything so personally. Their anger is their anger, not yours. Their negativity is their negativity. You can see it without having to absorb it. This is one of the most liberating experiences a person can have. And this compassion must also be extended to yourself. There will be days when you fail. There will be days when you get tired and you fall back into old patterns. You will react. In those moments, the practice is not to beat yourself up. The practice is to be kind, to acknowledge what happened without judgment, to apologize if you need to, and to gently recommit to the path, just as Jessica did. Self-compassion is the fuel that allows this journey to continue for a lifetime. So, as we bring our time together to a close, let's remember the simple, powerful truths we have discovered. The space between what happens to you and how you respond to it, that is where your power lies. That is where your freedom is born. Your job is to make that space just a little bit bigger every single day. The pause is your superpower. Your breath is your anchor. Use them. Remember that you are not your thoughts, and you are not your emotions. You are the deep, calm awareness that is observing them. Every situation, especially the difficult ones, is not a problem. It is an opportunity. It is a chance to practice, to grow stronger, and to choose, once again, the person you truly want to be. Learning not to react is not an act of weakness. It is an act of incredible strength, profound wisdom, and the deepest form of self-love. It is the key to creating a life of peace, not just for yourself, but for everyone whose life you touch. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the power of not reacting. I hope you feel inspired and equipped to bring more peace and intention into your own life. If you found this helpful and want to continue learning and growing with us, please make sure you are subscribed to English in Fluency. And don't forget to hit that bell notification so you never miss a new episode. Until next time, my name is Alex, wishing you a week of peace, clarity, and thoughtful responses.